Welcome into Creating with Creators. I'm here with Olivia, the creator of Real Fake Female Dogs at Instagram. I can't say the actual handle because there is a curse word in it. We're going to leave the handle right here down below, and I'm just going to put some symbols in it. But it's pretty easy to find. If you can read into it, you can figure that out. So, Olivia, what is this?
Well, basically, it is a page that I decided to create because I felt like I needed an outlet to scream into the void. And I thought, that a lot of other women might feel the same way. So I started making these little digital cartoons. It's a cartoon basically of myself, and it just kind of says everything that I would like to say out loud, but maybe I'm too, nervous to actually have that conversation.
Is it kind of like a burner account, as people like to mention? It's like an account that's kind of you, but not you, and you can just say what you want and not worry about it?
Yeah, exactly. When I first started it, I didn't want anyone to know that it was me behind the page, despite the fact that I did make the character based off of how I look. But then people started to figure out and say, hey, this seems like your voice. Is that you? And I would say, yeah, it's me. And then I kind of realized that overall it was better just to own it and be like, yes, this is mine. These are my thoughts. I created this. And that's how I kind of decided to, really connect myself and really dive into it more.
So when you first started it, like, you wanted basically, as you were mentioning, have a voice to scream into. But like, it felt like it started to kind of build, and you kind of got into like almost like a pattern where you started to do like different slides or different themes along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So is there, at one point did you realize where I wanted to actually make this a consistent thing on social media versus just screaming into the void every now and then?
I always planned on having it be, a social media page and having it, posting a lot on it. I have a lot of other creators who I really admire who are doing like a similar thing, like Ariana Mergulis. I loved her stuff, and I wanted to do something, similar to that, while also, giving myself more of a voice and maybe giving a voice to other, mainly women who might feel the same way as I do.
And I think it's kind of funny because even though it's like you're made like towards like what you might be thinking, what other women might be thinking, some of the stuff you say, like, everyone else can still relate to it across the board.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I really did want it to be like, I guess when I first started it, I was thinking like women and girls, and that's like why I kind of gave it the name with the female dog word in it. But as I decided to expand on it more, I was sort of looking at it to be encapsulating more of like the human experience, and like, I guess being like a 20-something who doesn't really know what they're doing. So yeah, men too.
Yeah. One thing I feel like you kind of introduced a second character in a way, even if it was like accidental, is you occasionally put in the phone as a character in your cartoons. And it's just like, it feels like the phone is kind of like this representation of like basically the current culture, or just like the worst parts of us trying to get us to not do the right things, or just like almost as like your post earlier was just buying like clothes. It was like, I should save money, but like I also just really want to buy like 4 new bathing suits kind of situation.
Yeah. The phone definitely, I knew that was going to be like a character that I wanted, because I thought part of the fun of like having this cartoon is, or like comic page, is that it can be really cartoony, right? It doesn't have to be just talking to people. And I love my phone. Obviously, I have like 3 or 4 different Instagram accounts, and I'm very online. I do feel like it has like this hold over me and like other people as well. So I like to definitely personify what I think the phone is kind of getting after, like making me buy stuff or making me not pay attention to whoever is actually talking.
And what's hard is like, you'd like to think of something like it's that like distracting to us, but like, yet a lot of people, especially in our field, needed to survive, because it's like, I need to be checking social media, LinkedIn, email, messages, calls, and at the same time, it's like, wow, look at this video of like this thing I used to like that has nothing to do with what I'm doing, but I'm going to lose 10 minutes of my time in it.
Oh, for sure. And like, I'll get a notification and it's an email. Boom, answer the email. And then all of a sudden, I'm like on TikTok for 30 minutes. And I mean, I love TikTok. I've learned so much about like using Procreate and stuff like that from it. But I see the time suck and just like, having this little computer.
Yeah, my black hole is, it's not TikTok, because I can't stand going on TikTok because it instantly starts playing a video when you open it, and I hate that feature.
That does.
I get lost in the Instagram discovery page.
Yeah.
Because it's programmed to like throw in your face the stuff you click on the most.
Exactly.
So mine's like covered in photography, video games, Pokemon, and then like just occasional dumb things. Like today on the bus, I watched a 4-minute video of just what games sold the most each year from like 1990s to like 2020s. It's like, why did I watch this?
Yeah, it's like, is this information I need to know? But sometimes it really is good. So maybe I'll start giving the phone like some good qualities about it every now and again. Like, hey, call your mom. Something like that. That could be cute. That could be a cute Mother's Day post.
Right. Mother's Day is coming up.
Oh my God, that's it. That's the Mother's Day post. Awesome.
All right, so with this like kind of fun that you've had with it, what kind of like, how do you see yourself like really going with it? Like, what is the end game for like this cartoon page you're going?
Yeah, so real fake B word specifically, I would really like to, ultimately like maybe come out with a book, something like that. I've always wanted to like be an author and write something, and I think that like maybe a compilation of cartoons. I'm not quite sure if real fake in particular is going to be the book, but that's definitely like what I'm hoping it will evolve into. Definitely something like that.
I feel like she would be the perfect character, like not on the front cover, but you flip it open and she's like right there with like, in hardcover books, like the wraparound page where it's just like that first fold, like there's a little blurb, like she'd be right there, like directing you to the rest of the book.
Yeah, that would be, exactly. Stuff like that. And having her like illustrate, parts of it. A lot of people tell me that it reminds them of like Lizzie McGuire. So, if not a book, maybe like a cartoon series someday. That would be a dream come true for sure.
That'd be fun. So speaking of like kind of going down that road, of course, you're probably using some sort of program to put this all together. What is your program of choice for this cartoon?
Procreate, 100%. I've got an iPad Air and got Procreate, got it for $10, and you don't have to pay another fee on top of that. And I just use my Apple Pencil to draw everything. I keep her in a template with like her outline, and then I will color it in and draw like the arms and legs and facial features each time I want to do a new comic.
Okay, and how long does that typically take you to put together?
So it kind of depends on how intricate the comic is going to be and how fleshed out the idea is when it comes to me. Sometimes I can have an idea and I'm able to like bang out a fully like developed comic in like 30 minutes and like feel comfortable posting that. Other times, if it's going to be like a multi-panel one, it could take me like a couple of hours to really get to it to where I want to go. And if I need to like develop the joke a little bit more, then that takes much more time too. And like I'll start something and I'll put it in drafts for a little bit. But yeah, the being able to like save the template really helps streamline the process for me.
Right. So what would you say are like the biggest challenges that you find with this?
I guess just trying to keep up with it all. I feel like Instagram moves so quickly and I have to be churning out fresh new content, and sometimes that like can get a little overwhelming. So yeah, certainly that for me. I also try to bring in a lot of pop culture into my comics. So, making sure I'm on top of that with like a news cycle that is so, quick 24-hour news cycle, right? Making sure I'm on top of that and like being able to churn out a comic about like whatever new meme there is like that day.
Okay. So one thing I noticed you started to do with this page, or one thing, like, I don't even know if it's like specifically like real fake, or maybe it's a collection of real fake and your other ones, is you started doing other artwork and selling it and then actually putting it on clothing. And then as we have seen, there have been a few people that have like basically posted them wearing clothing with your artwork on it.
Yes. So thank you so much for bringing that up. So that is Olive U Studio. Olive like the fruit or vegetable. I don't know. What is it? It's food. Olive like the food.
I want to consider it I don't know what I'd consider. I just know it's in drinks. I always have to remove it because I don't like olives.
The little salty thing, the letter U, studio. And I had to make that whole separate thing because of the bad word that I put in the first thing. Facebook and like nothing will let me advertise with it. So yeah, All of You Studio. That all started because I had the iPad, I was doing the comics, and I wanted to experiment with different styles. And when this Bernie Sanders mitten meme came out, I said, wow, I have to draw that. I posted it and it got like a really great response. And I realized that like I really enjoyed drawing in that style. And so, people were coming to me and saying, hey, I'd love to buy a print of this. And then I started looking into, different ways to get people prints. And that is how I discovered Printful and being able to, put my designs on t-shirts and on different items like tote bags and stuff like that. And that has been really cool. I've been really loving getting into designing clothing for sure. That's has always been a dream of mine as a little kid, like drawing my own shirts. And so it's just like so amazing seeing people actually wear it.
So actually, it's like one of the things is like for small creators or people just getting into it, the idea of ordering like inventory is stressful because it's like how much I order of each size, when we're going to put it all. So what has been your solution to that?
Yes. So my solution has been the distributor I referenced earlier. It's called Printful, and they use drop shipping. Now, drop shipping is when someone will order the whatever it is, t-shirt, sweatshirt, and the manufacturer will make it for you and ship it to them. So that's been great because I live in a small apartment. I do not have space, like you were saying, for inventory. And I can't afford a warehouse right now. So that has been like the perfect solution for me. And it's really great because, you're not going to waste resources buying a million t-shirts. If you're only going to do something and only one's going to sell, that's better for the environment just to print the one. So I really like that.
So with the artwork that you've been doing, do you pick like specific things like a style, or is it like you see something you like it and then you're like, I want to put this in my art style on a picture or a t-shirt, or what's your process with that?
Yeah, so I've had two big things, the Bernie Sanders mitten meme one and the Lil Nas X is sliding down the pole, and I drew those in two very similar styles. And the Bernie Sanders one, I saw it and I was like, I just have to draw it. The Lil Nas X one actually came to me in a dream. I was asleep and I woke up at 5 a.m. and was just like, I have to draw him like sliding down a pole and just like have that be like in the middle of a shirt or like in the middle of a print. And I thought that, the best way to draw it was in the same style as my Bernie one. So that's how I got those two ideas. Other things, I just kind of see things that I like, or I do have a lot of my ideas do come to me in dreams. So that's like pretty cool.
You got like a little notebook like on the side that's just like, so I find like a lot of times like when you come to inspiration like in a dream, or sometimes it happens to me all the time like in the shower, and like you can like sit there and like I'll work through like a video idea.
Yeah.
But like I forget to write it down, then I forget it.
Yeah.
So do you have like one of those little notebooks, or do you just kind of like in the moment it and then you act on it?
Definitely some of both. Like Lil Nas X thing, I was like, I have to get this done right now. Like this is, the video had just come out like a day or two before. I was like, this needs to happen right now. I woke up at 5 a.m., did it. Other times, I'll roll over, put something in my notes app, or if I have my notebook, I will put it there. Or, I'll write it down on my iPad in Procreate as well. Yeah.
So you mentioned a few of them earlier, but who are like the first like artists that you saw like doing something like this where you thought, I also want to go out and do this? Like who was like you would say be your inspiration behind what you're doing right now?
Okay, so I've got a couple. Number one, Shel Silverstein. When I was a kid, like reading like Where the Sidewalk Ends and like seeing his little doodles and stuff like made me really start to like doodle and like write little jokes with it. And then as I got older and Instagram became a thing, Ariana Margulis is definitely a big inspiration of mine, and like seeing her put her work out, and like she came out with a book and I was like, okay, she can do it, I can too. And her handle is But Like Maybe on Instagram if you want to check her out. She has She has a pretty big following, so she's very cool. And then just like getting to know like different comedians, even though like it's a very different platform, it still gave me a lot of inspiration.
So who's your favorite comic, Olivia?
Ooh, I don't know. I'm a really big fan of Ali Wong and Michelle Buteau right now. Ooh, and Nicole Byer. Yes. Those are probably my top 3 at the moment.
Okay. What are your thoughts on South Park? Because when I look at your work and you try to make it like, when you go for that political, you go for like that current kind of thing with your cartoon, like South Park has been king of the mountain for that for years. So
yeah, and they all have big heads, and so is my character. Yeah, no, I definitely like South Park. I'm definitely a person who like, if someone tells me like, okay, you have to watch this one episode, I'll do that. I'm not like super current on it, but definitely when I was a teenager, I was, watching that all the time. And I definitely saw a few episodes far too young. Some formative years there. Right. Yeah.
South Park is like one of those things where like it can completely go over your head. Mm-hmm. I think they got really better with it. Like I remember like their season 19 and season 20 were like the 2 years where like they really put something together where it's like, we're going to have a plot. We're going to like actually have things go in an order. And that was during like the 2016 elections. Like they were so spot on with what like was going on, where it's just so perfect with the way they do it, because they can really push that line and then be like, oh, we're just a cartoon.
For sure. Oh yeah, no, totally. You can definitely get away with saying way more things if you put it on like a cutie little like Hello Kitty type thing, right? And it's like, oh, it's just pretend. And especially when you can like have something totally absurd happen. Like my favorite South Park episode is the one where they send the whale to space. That's just a good one. Yeah.
I think my favorite was they came out with what they called like member berries.
I don't think I know that.
So it was basically during that time frame I mentioned is basically people were grocery shopping at the Whole Foods they put into South Park, and there are these fruits called member berries. And they're basically, they would say like little tiny things to make you like remember things about you liked about your childhood. And then they would put in like one comment about like the political situation. The person would be like, what? Whatever. And then eat it. Just like, and then they slowly agree with that mind thought. And then like they made a joke of basically that's how Rome fell. Because like people kept eating them. And then they got like too obsessed with what was going on. And then Rome got invaded.
Man, so that's in the area you were talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to check that one out.
So the last point I kind of want to make with this creative thing, for all the other people out there, where would be like the place you'd recommend them starting if they wanted to follow the same kind of path?
Definitely getting yourself a notebook dedicated to kind of developing these ideas further. That was my first step, because I know that like going out and buying an iPad is something that not everyone can do. So until then, I had a notebook, I filled it all up, and I kind of realized for me, the next best step to digitize my work was just to get an iPad and start drawing. But yeah, you can truthfully just start with a pen and a piece of paper. And then if you want to put that out there, like you can take your phone and take a picture of that, draw over with a Sharpie, and tons of other artists do it that way too. But if you can get an iPad, Procreate's only $10 and there's no subscription fees.
Get that yawn out of my system.
Dude, good.
All right, Olivia. Before we actually started the show, we've gone back and forth with it a little bit, but you're actually heading out west. You're planning on moving to Colorado.
That's true, yes. End of August, beginning of September, I'm going to drive on out there and move in with a friend of mine from college, yeah.
So was this basically, out of nowhere, screw it, I'm going? Or you're like, I visited the area, I loved it, this is a place I've always wanted to live, and why not now?
Yeah, the second one, really. I've wanted to move to Denver since I was about 16. I have an aunt who lives out there, and we would go visit her and go skiing. And, I really wanted to go out west. I tried to apply to college out there. They said, we're not going to give you any money. So I was like, that's cool. I'm going to go to UMass. And then, yeah, I've just been like going there every couple of years ever since. Always really liked it. And the opportunity just kind of came up. My friend said, hey, I moved out here and my house is gonna have a vacancy soon, and I said I'm gonna fill it.
So are you basically bringing everything you have in a backpack and basically just going out, or
Oh my goodness.
Do you know what your setup is going to be like?
You know, I actually just got off the phone. I was talking about this with my dad about what I'm going to do, and I'm still not 100% sure yet. I was thinking about like hiring some movers and going out there, but now I'm kind of thinking about selling a lot of my stuff and just trying to drive out there with just my car. But yeah, definitely bringing my car, definitely bringing my iPad, and my skis.
What's the one thing besides those three things?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say, what are the three things that you have to bring with you that you can't leave at home?
Ooh, my KitchenAid stand mixer. I love that thing. You said three things?
Yep.
Okay. KitchenAid stand mixer. I really want to keep my L-shaped desk that I got when I quit my job to try and do art full time. I got the sweet desk and I just like love the setup I have. Really want to take that with me, but I don't think it's gonna make it. And then just like all my really cool clothes.
That's true. Is there a specific style you're gonna plan on rocking when you're out there in Denver?
Ooh, maximalism I think is my goal. After being locked in to quarantine, I just want to wear like every single outfit that like I love, and unfortunately I love a lot of like really gaudy stuff. I toned it down for this interview because I was I didn't know how it would look on camera.
You're gonna go for like what, 2 or 3 outfits a day if you can?
Yeah, definitely. One for the morning, and then maybe a change mid-afternoon, and then evening wear, of course.
So with this whole comedy kind of cartoon thing that you do, did you do anything to practice that? Did you do any kind of improv or stand-up in college or beforehand?
Yeah, I got super into improv when I was in college. I did this comedy group. I was always a theater kid in high school and stuff. And then I auditioned for this comedy group that was heavy on the improv, and I just like fell in love with it. And ever since I've been doing it. Going out there on stage. When I moved to Boston, I started doing stuff at Improv Boston to kind of get in the scene here, and I joined a troupe called Riot Improv at the Rosny Square Theater in Rosendale. And so ever since the pandemic, I've been doing that online with them. And so I also draw a lot of inspiration by like doing improv every Monday night. So
what's online improv like?
Oh my goodness. Well,
is it harder or is it easier?
It's a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
I had like really low expectations when they said we were going to do this. I was like, guys, let's just take a break from improv for, the month, not knowing how long it was going to be. But it's a lot better than I had anticipated. There's no audience really, so you can't hear like the laughing that you're used to. But the way we do it is we all do it over Zoom, and then the performers will keep their mics on, and then we are encouraged to kind of laugh at each other's jokes, which feels pretty good. But I don't know if anything can really like fulfill the high of like actually being on stage though.
Right. Mm-hmm. I remember I actually experienced that high like a few times. Like I did Mr. MH. I basically did our talent show, and I was just like, I thought like I had very mixed reviews from like the stand-up skit that I did, but basically around that time frame, I fell in love with stand-up comedy. Yeah. So I started writing, and so when I went to school, I actually wasn't associated with the school, but I actually did like a stand-up class. I'd go to like twice a week and practice jokes and writing, and then I met a few friends, and we'd go for like a year just trying to like write it out. And I actually even tried to audition for our school's comedy group. But their thing is they did improv and stand-up. And so you had to basically do both. Yeah. And I couldn't do improv the same in my life. I wasn't an on-the-spot comedian. I was like, I need to plan it. I need to think about it. I need to write it. Yeah. So I'd be like pretty good at like performing the stand-up, but then like it was so cringeworthy trying to watch me do improv because I didn't know what to do. And I was just like, get me out of here, please.
Oh, yeah. They're those totally different games, really. Like I have... I've written some stand-up, and I actually was going to go to my first open mic the same week as lockdown. Okay. And I did some stand-up back in my comedy group in college, but yeah, totally different ball game. Like, that's kind of crazy that they were so stuck on having people do both because they're truly
They're very like, I feel like they're very different fields. Like it's very hard to be good at both. Like when I think of improv comics, I think of Will Ferrell. Because just from like what other comedians have said about like working with him, like he makes so much stuff up on the spot that like you think is scripted because it's in a movie. And that's completely different from someone like John Mulaney or Hannibal Buress who do a lot more writing with their comics.
Yeah, but I think John Mulaney has a pretty strong background in improv too. So it's kind of there is some crossover, but like they're totally different at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
So one of the other things you also get into a lot is birds. I remember like when you feel like you first got to Boston, I felt like you just like find a bird and commentate on it. So like, was this always a thing you loved, or was this just a newfound passion?
Yeah, so I've always been a fan of animals, and like was always watching Animal Planet. Like I think Steve Irwin was like my first crush. And then when I was in college, I needed a job for the summer. And I was kind of afraid of birds before this happened. I saw this flyer and it said, no experience necessary, backyard bird study. And I said, perfect. I don't have any experience. And I applied for it and they took me in. And basically I did this whole summer of bird research. And I had to learn about all the different birds that are native to New England. And I had to learn how to identify them from sight and just from hearing them. And it was so much fun. And bird nerds are so funny. They are all so fun, which you might not expect, but it's the reptile people you really got to watch out for. And that's kind of how I got into birds. It's just like this eccentric hobby that spiraled. It's
like, I think birds are fun because they're so fast moving. They're like, for like another level of crazy is bird nerd photographer, because they're like, no joking, like they're walking around with like very expensive equipment because they need to like take a photo of a bird that's a mile away, have to like super far away. It's moving incredibly fast, and they have to know like where it's nesting, what time of day to go find it, where it likes to feed, how it feeds, what it like, so many different things. And like when I was in the Everglades, which is a huge area for bird photography, there were a lot of bird people around. They'd see a nice bird and then they'd explain it to me and be like, looks like a bird to me.
Yeah, right? It's like, I
remember I was like there and some lady was explaining, she's like, yeah, that bird right there flies all the way from Brazil and it's only here during this time of year. I'm like, I would have never known that. To me, it's just a white bird flying in the sky.
That's insane. That's the kind of crazy stuff that they're into. It's like, always kind of reminded me of like Pokemon too, like gotta catch them all, gotta see them all. But yeah, like all those like Animal Planet documentaries and stuff like that, they all have like bird people on site, and like a lot of those people are trained like in photography. Like my the guy who was in charge of my bird study, who was like going for his PhD, his ultimate goal is to like be one of those people who like camps out in the Amazon to like help take pictures of birds and stuff.
It's like insane how much goes into like Nat Geo and his like those things where it's just like, I feel like every average person's like, why don't you go work for like the Travel Channel, like Nat Geo? I'm like, do you know how hard it is? Like that is so selective of a field to get into that you need like minimum 5 years of like legit experience before they'd even bat an eye.
Oh, for sure. And then, so I guess that's like kind of what I was like trying to do with my Instagrams when I was, taking like Instagram stories and like narrating the birds, was just like kind of trying to show people that like there are cool animals like right here in Boston, and these birds have some weird behaviors, and if you just like take a second to learn about it, like you can see that too. And like, I'm kind of funny, so.
Right. One thing I do like about like the common birds, like the common ducks you see in Boston, like to us it's just like, that's a duck. But when I see a duck in another country and it doesn't look like my duck, I'm like, this duck looks really cool.
Oh,
like it looks different. Like the ducks in Iceland look really cool just because their feathering's different. Or there's like a bird in Iceland that changes its feather color depending on the season too.
Yeah, we've got birds like that here that change with the seasons. Dude, we should go for a walk around the reservoir sometime. I will show you some pretty freaky looking ducks.
I used to run around the reservoir.
It's what saved me during quarantine. I'd walk around that like twice a day.
I always feel like there's like a group of swans that's kind of hanging out in the middle somewhere. And then there's always a ton of ducks, and then there's a lot of Canadians walking around too. The geese.
Yes. Oh God. I hate them.
Have you ever been snapped at by a geese or a goose?
Yes, they're evil. Everyone has. That's why we all hate them.
I just think it's like, especially geese and pelicans remind me that birds are dinosaurs.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Pelicans?
Pelicans are insane. If pelicans were 5 feet tall or like they'd be eating us, like they would snatch children if they could.
Pelicans always have they lay 3 eggs every time they have babies. And one of the pelicans, whichever baby hatches first, will push the other 2 out of the nest and kill them to be the only pelican.
Right. That is nature at its finest.
That's not okay.
So we've gone through college, but we go all the way back to high school actually. So how's your life been since leaving Marlboro High School?
It hasn't been that bad. It's, I would dare say pretty good. After leaving MHS, I went to UMass Amherst and got super into birds, super into skiing, and I was really doing science then. And then after leaving UMass, I moved here to Boston, and I was just trying to like work little office jobs, and then I said, hey, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be an artist. And I kind of feel like things really started getting going for me when I decided to do that. So yeah, it's just kind of been on the up and up ever since then.
Like for me, like I went down to North Carolina.
Yeah.
Halfway through that, I realized I wanted to be a photographer and started to pursue that. My biggest thing was I went abroad my senior year of college and then went on this giant trip afterwards because like I really want to go and travel, experience being by myself in the world, to take photos. And it's just like, after going through that, I was like, I would love to do that for work. Like if I could somehow, for some portion of the year at some point in my life, like be doing that for work, like I'd rather be doing that besides sitting in front of a computer, staring at numbers at a desk.
For sure. And I mean, obviously you've got the chops for it. So
yeah.
I just love to see, good people like going out and chasing what they actually want to do. And a big part of that is just like realizing it. Like I always knew I liked art and like comedy and stuff like that. But it was later in life when like that switch flipped where I was like, oh, I can do this. And, people like my stuff and that feels really good. Like, why not try it out? So
Olivia, what is your mountaintop? Like what is the thing like you're striving to like eventually get to one day? Like what is the point where you're like, I've now reached this, I am pumped with what I've done so far, and I can like think about something else, I guess? Or almost like, what is the climax of this chapter of Olivia's life?
Okay, I want to be fully self-employed. I think that is my current goal right now. Be totally self-employed by selling like my prints and my shirts and those kinds of things. And then I'm going to become very wealthy and famous.
Where is the wealthy and Olivia famous going to live? And where's the vacation home going to be?
Oh, great questions. Okay, so I feel like if I had like unlimited money, I would live in like New York City. Because when I went to LA, my allergies were so horrible. I said, oh dear God, I can never come to LA in the spring again. So yeah, maybe New York City or Denver, who knows? Like I'm really stoked to go live there for a while. And then vacation home, maybe like Steamboat Springs, Colorado. I think that's my favorite mountain I've skied so far. Obviously I need 2 vacations home. I need one in the mountain and I need one like at the beach, right? So like maybe the Cape or Florida or something like that. So
you only get one vacation home.
Why?
Because you have to pick one.
Okay, then mountains.
Okay. For me, I always thought I wanted to like, because I love traveling, going to see the mountains. Like in my mind, I want to live in an isolated, like semi-decently sized log cabin style house.
Yes.
That like overlooks like a lake with like mountains behind it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I hate dealing with the cold.
True.
So like for me, it's okay. Maybe like my vacation house would be there where I'd go like during like prime like seasons, but then I would live in the warmth. I would live in somewhere Southern California, maybe Texas one day, or a nice place in Florida where it's like During the time where it's crummy for everyone else, I'm happy with my 70s and sunny.
Yeah.
And then when it gets too hot, I'm 50s in the mountains.
Yeah. You know what? I think you might have the I think that might be how I should do it too. I think I'm gonna steal that because maybe I'll go to LA and I'll just start getting allergy shots, and I'll be cured. It'll be fine.
Because my thing is like, people like to say they like seasons, but the people who say that, they only like the 2 weeks of the season where it looks nice, and then they hate the rest of the season.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, I'm gonna live somewhere warm. And when it looks really nice in the fall, I'll vacation right there in the fall. And then when this place I like gets snow in the winter, I'll go vacation there. And then I'll be like, I'm done with the snow. I'm done with the rain and the leaves. I'm going to go back to the warm, sunny beach.
Dude, we're going to have so much fun when we are rich and famous.
That's the ultimate goal, you know?
This is going to be great. I'm stoked for us. Ah, yes. And then if we can visit each other and like drink fine wine, it'll be great.
All right, so I always like to ask this question. What kind of alcohol do you like?
Ooh.
What is your drink of choice?
Okay, I love a good margarita. Lately I've been drinking, I made the syrup out of magnolia flowers that I plucked like off a tree by the reservoir. And I've been drinking, it's gin, magnolia syrup, elderflower, liqueur, and just like seltzer and lemon. That's been very good.
The way you said that, it kind of sounds like when you go to like a Halloween kind of festival and there's like that cauldron and they're like naming all the like quote unquote ingredients they put into like this mixed drink that's just going to taste like juice.
No, it's more than juice. It's more than juice. It's delicious. It's got botanicals and floral notes. But otherwise, like a margarita, love that. What about you? What do you drink?
So I like beer. I like a Belgian white. I like or a golden ale, something like smooth and flavorful. Not a big fan of hops. I hate, like, people love IPAs. I'm like, I can't drink it. Like,
yes, I agree with that 100%.
For me, whatever the flavor of hops are, I don't like it kind of situation.
It's like bitter.
For me, like, if it's going like hard liquor, I really like a rum-based drink because I like to pretend like I'm a pirate when I drink it in my mind.
Of course.
So I like making Mai Tais, Hurricanes, Mojitos, daiquiris, kind of
boat drinks.
Yeah.
Yes. You are meant for the sunshine.
That's what I'm looking forward to one day, the warmth and the sun.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I can't drink rum. I end up with like snap stories of me like singing, and like I'm a fine singer, but I'm not that good.
You don't want your friends where they're like, don't do that, but let me record you not doing that.
Yeah. No, that's me when I drink rum. Yeah, but I agree with you on the beer. I hate IPAs, hate hops. I like beer that doesn't taste like beer. So like a good sour.
Favorite bar food?
Favorite bar food? Ooh, nachos.
I'm a big pretzel guy.
Yeah.
I like a good pretzel with like a good beer cheese, and maybe like you switch it up with like really nice like spicy mustard.
Yes, those are great. There's so much very good food. Dude, Tater Tot Nachos. Those are
it sounds so delicious, but it's just like one of those things where it's like I would never order it first, but if it got put in front of me, I'd love it.
Yeah, right. It's like pretty heavy, but those mozzarella sticks. I like cheese, so that's like the pretzels, amazing. Tacos,
delicious.
The best.
Can't go wrong with anything with cheese and carbs is delicious, no matter what anyone has to say.
Sure, dude. Yeah, I like am constantly making myself grilled cheeses. And I always put a little extra something.
What kind of cheese do you use for a grilled cheese?
Oh my god! Well, of course you gotta use more than just one cheese.
Okay, so you're getting a little. I've never used more than one cheese.
What? What do you use? American?
No, I mean like if I'm gonna melt cheese, it's probably pepper jack cheese.
Okay, well that's delicious. So if you're gonna do one cheese, like pepper jack or provolone, like is kind of the way to go. Right?
Provolone, like for me, steak and cheese always is provolone, but it's just kind of like a bland, like there's not. It's such a middle of the pack kind of cheese.
Well, I guess that's why I always put on like some like pesto or definitely like a tomato, some avocado, a little something else into it, some spice. All
right, so before I start starving, you can hear my stomach rumbling on the microphone after that whole discussion. I just want to thank you for your time for coming on the show today, Olivia.
Oh, thank you so much.
And what could you throw at our fans or our collective fan base that you'd be working on next? Like what might be the next print or like shirt idea you might be working on?
Ooh. Well, I guess you'll have to follow to find out. But whatever the next big meme is, I'm on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you made a SpongeBob meme yet, by chance?
I haven't. I was thinking about it though. What's your idea?
I don't know. Like me thinking, like I feel like Caveman SpongeBob was always a good one. Or if you could do surprised Pikachu.
Yeah, I do love surprise Pikachu. Okay, we'll take a look into that.
Or a solid one would be the surprise Patrick from the original SpongeBob movie.
Yeah.
Like that. I feel like the way he was illustrated in that moment, he'd be so easy to snatch and put on like a nice color background.
Yeah, that could be beautiful. Ooh, okay. I've got some ideas after this interview, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And as always, thank you all for joining us. And have a nice rest of your day, guys, because I don't know how to end this, so keep on creating, Olivia.
Thanks, man.